Hello, inner shifters, how you doing? Your host, Sophia here. Let's begin at the beginning, right where the magic lives, protecting your boundaries like sacred space. Because honestly, that's where balance is born, not in some perfectly constructed routine, but in the quiet, powerful choices you make to honor your time, your energy, and your well-being. Not just once, but daily, relentlessly, gently, fiercely. You ever notice how easy it is to slip into the never-ending rhythm of work? One minute you're checking an email just real quick, and the next, it's 10 p.m. and you're still half planning tomorrow. The lines blur fast, especially with remote work, side gigs, and digital everything. Suddenly your living room's a conference room, your kitchen's a break room, and your boundaries, they're hanging on by a thread. Clara had a season like that. She was juggling a demanding job in grad school, answering messages at all hours, taking meetings from her car. She'd tell herself just one more thing until her to-do list looked more like a novel. But what hit the hardest wasn't exhaustion, it was the emotional fog. She started waking up anxious, going to bed wired, and even small joys felt muted. I realized I didn't have space to feel anything, she said. That was her turning point. She started by drawing one simple line: no emails after 6 p.m. At first, it felt rebellious. She kept glancing at her inbox, feeling guilty. But gradually, that boundary became a breath of fresh air. She had dinner without screens. Her evenings felt spacious again. She started reading, stretching, even sleeping better. That tiny limit saved my sanity, she laughed. And you know what? Her work didn't suffer. In fact, it improved because she showed up more whole. Boundaries are not walls. They are gateways to presence. They say, this time is mine. And in a culture that glorifies hustle, claiming that space can feel radical. But it's not selfish, it's sovereign. It's you acknowledging that you are not a machine. That your mind, body, and spirit deserve protection. That you cannot pour from an empty cup, no matter how noble the cause. Matteo once shared a metaphor I loved. He said, I treat my energy like a budget. If I overspend on work, I don't have enough left for creativity, movement, or connection. So he started blocking off non-negotiable self-time in his calendar: Tuesday night sketching, Thursday morning walks. The alerts popped up just like meetings. And I honor them like meetings with my future self, he said. That language stuck with me because what if every boundary you set today is a gift to the future version of you, the well-rested you, the focused you, the kind to themselves you? Boundaries also aren't just about time, they're about tone. About emotional availability. Clara had a colleague who loved to vent in her DMs at all hours. It drained her. So she set a gentle boundary. She told them she was committed to being present during work hours, but needed quiet space to recharge after. It wasn't dramatic, it was respectful. And it created freedom for both of them. We think boundaries will push people away, but often they strengthen relationships. Because people know what to expect. They see you modeling self-care. They respect you more deeply. And that respect becomes mutual. Even simple rituals can become boundary anchors. Matteo closes his laptop and lights a candle when he's done for the day. That one motion, flame dancing into dusk, says, I'm home now. It's a sensory signal, a declaration, a shift. You don't have to do something elaborate, you just need a marker. A moment that draws the line between working and living. And if you're afraid of falling behind by setting boundaries, remember this: burnout costs more than any missed email. A tired mind doesn't innovate, a stressed body doesn't sustain, a hollowed-out spirit can't connect. When you protect yourself, you protect your capacity to give, to lead, to show up fully. It's okay to close the tab, to silence the phone, and to step outside without checking notifications, and to say, I'll get to this tomorrow. To choose a full-hearted yes to rest over a half-present yes to obligation. You're not here to grind until you forget who you are. You're here to build a life that supports your becoming. And boundaries, they're the architecture of that life. Clara once said, "Every time I say no to overwork, I say yes to something sweeter, like laughter. Like sleep, like love, like presence." You're allowed to protect what matters. You're allowed to take up space. Let's sink into one, scheduling movement and mindfulness like meetings, because this is the heart of balance right here. The part where your calendar stops being just a list of deadlines and starts becoming a map to your own well-being. We live in a world where being busy is worn like a badge, where productivity is praised and rest feels like a guilty indulgence. And yet, somewhere inside all of us, there's this quiet voice that says, "I need space. I need breath, I need to move." That voice is wise, that voice is your lifeline. And the most loving thing you can do is to honor it, not occasionally, but deliberately. Let me tell you about Clara. She was in the thick of it, back-to-back meetings, errands, phone calls, deadlines, a non-stop flow. She'd skip meals, cancel workouts, postpone meditation because something urgent came up. But urgency is a slippery slope, it never ends. One day, after missing her third yoga class in a row, she found herself crying quietly in the parking lot outside the office. Not because anything awful happened, but because nothing felt spacious anymore. She said to me, "I'm never not working. Even in my dreams, I'm answering emails." And that's when it clicked. Movement and mindfulness can't just be things we try to squeeze in, they have to be scheduled, just like anything else we value. So she made a decision. She went into her calendar and blocked 3 slots a week as non-negotiable wellness. A Tuesday morning, walk in the park. A Thursday evening, breathwork and stretching. Saturday afternoon, dance session in her living room, playlist ready. She labeled them like she would label an important meeting. And you know what happened? She started showing up for herself with the same respect she'd been showing everyone else. "I realized I've been ghosting me," she said, and now she does. When you schedule movement like a meeting, something shifts in your brain. It becomes part of the structure. Not optional, not when I have time, but baked into the rhythm of your life. And you start to anticipate it, you look forward to it, you prepare for it, you dress for it, you honor it. Mateo had a similar shift, but with mindfulness. He's the type who jumps out of bed and straight into Slack. But after a burnout spiral last spring, he started scheduling 15-minute morning meditations. The first week felt awkward. He said his mind just bounced around like popcorn. But after a few tries, he noticed something incredible. Those 15 minutes didn't just calm him down, they made him sharper for work. "I thought I didn't have time," he said, "but now I realize I was wasting time by not centering myself." It's not about duration, it's about intention. 10 minutes of walking can clear your mind more than an hour of scrolling. 5 minutes of deep breathing can reset your nervous system more than 10 frantic attempts to answer every message. When you choose those moments deliberately, when they are anchored in your schedule, you stop abandoning yourself. Clara even added little color-coded blocks to her planner, blue for movement, green for mindfulness. Her week started looking less like chaos and more like a balanced canvas. "I don't feel behind anymore," she told me. "I feel in rhythm, and that's the goal. Not just efficiency, but equilibrium. And listen, life will still get messy. The baby cries, the boss reschedules, the traffic eats your morning, that's real. But here, what scheduling wellness does, it makes you resilient. It gives you something to return to." Mateo once had a day where everything unraveled: client drama, tech crashes, missed deadlines. "But when I checked in," he said, "at least I took my midday walk. That 30 minutes, it saved me." He didn't fix everything in those steps, but he reconnected, he found his feet again. He remembered who he was beneath the stress. And that, my friend, is wellness. And it's not luxury, it's strategy. And let's talk about joy. Because scheduled movement doesn't have to mean boring routines or rigid gym time. It can be playful. And Clara started doing coffee dances, 5-minute boogies to her favorite songs while her espresso brewed. Matteo began taking walking meetings when he could, packing through quiet streets while brainstorming aloud. Movement doesn't have to feel like effort, it can feel like expression. The same goes for mindfulness. You don't need a fancy mat or perfect silence. You just need attention. A minute of gratitude journaling. A breath at every red light. A pause before opening your inbox. Every scheduled moment of mindfulness adds up to a day lived with presence. And the ripple effect, huge. You eat with more awareness, you speak with more compassion, you sleep more deeply, you work more effectively. Not because you pushed harder, but because you aligned better. Clara said something beautiful the other day. I used to think scheduling self-care meant I was high maintenance. Now I know it means I'm high priority. That shift is everything. So here's the invitation, open your calendar. Find the empty corners, choose one, block it. Name it something nourishing, mindful walk, stillness break, stretch and exhale. Don't wait for permission, just declare it. That act alone is powerful. Because when you schedule time for your body, for your breath, for your spirit, you're not just organizing your week. You're honoring your life. Have you ever thought how to fueling your body with purpose, not just convenience, because this is where balance starts showing up in the most delicious, empowering way. This is not just about what's on your plate, it's about how you nourish the one doing the work. It's the gentle art of remembering that your body isn't a productivity machine, it's the home you live in. And it deserves care that's intentional, not just impulsive. You ever notice how easy it is to slip into the grab-and-go mindset? Wake up late, rush a slice of toast while your email loads, skip lunch because the meeting ran long. And by 4 p.m., you're either scavenging for whatever's within arm's reach or crashing hard with coffee number 3. It happens, and none of it makes you bad or broken. But it does make a difference. And Clara had a phase where her wellness took a backseat to her workload, like, way backseat. She was thriving professionally, checking boxes like a pro, but something felt off. She was constantly bloated, mentally fuzzy, emotionally. I'm eating, she said, but it's like nothing's actually feeding me. That hit deep. She realized that most of her meals were out of necessity, not care. A banana in the car, vending machine almonds, late night takeout eaten over her keyboard. So she decided to reframe, not overhaul, just reframe. She gave her meals names like nourishment breaks instead of lunch rush. As she started asking herself, will this meal support the way I want to feel today? The shift was instant, not because she became a food saint, but because she started showing up to eat like she mattered. Matteo took the longer route. He's the type who loves systems, so he tracked his energy after each meal for a month. At first, it was purely data, spreadsheet stuff. But slowly, he saw the emotional layer emerging. When I eat mindfully, my brain works better. When I eat crap on the fly, I get snappy, he told me. That clarity helped him create a simple system, protein plus fiber plus joy. Every meal had to include something that made him feel fueled and something that made him feel happy. And you know what? That joy piece was often the game changer. A sprig of mint, a slice of mango, a dash of cinnamon, it reminded him that food was not just functional. There's power in treating meals like acts of respect. You don't need elaborate recipes or picture-perfect plates, you just need presence. Maybe you step away from the screen for 10 minutes to choose slowly. Maybe you light a candle during dinner to create ambience. Maybe you prep snacks that feel chosen, not whatever's crumpled in the bottom drawer. Each tiny shift is a signal to your body, I care. And the ripple effect is enormous. When you eat well, not necessarily perfect, but well, you regulate your blood sugar. You stabilize your mood. You reduce those wild energy crashes that make you feel like a robot that needs rebooting. You support digestion, brain function, hormonal balance. You literally nourish your capacity to be well while working. Clara started bringing care snacks to work, stuff like trail mix she made herself, sliced veggies with hummus, herbal teas. She kept them in her drawer not because she was on a health kick, but because they were like little self-love kits throughout the day. When I grab one, it feels like I'm saying, "I've got you," she told me. That's the kind of energy that transforms a stressful afternoon. Mateo began doing meal prep as a form of creativity. He'd play jazz, chop ingredients slowly, label containers like works of art. I stopped thinking of it as obligation, he said. Now it's a ritual of kindness. That language, ritual of kindness, it stuck with me. Because that's what purposeful nourishment is, a quiet act of care. A moment where you step out of urgency and into intention. And you know what else changes when you fuel your body with care? Your sense of time. Rushed meals reinforce the narrative that you're too busy to care for yourself. But pausing to eat slowly, to hydrate intentionally, to chew and breathe and be with your food, that expands time. It creates pockets of presence that stretch across your day, reminding you that your wellness matters as much as your work. I'm not here to tell you to never eat fast food again or only eat kale forever. That's not the point. The point is, can you pause before each meal and ask, what does my body really need right now? Not just calories. Not just caffeine, but actual support. Maybe it's warmth, maybe it's crunch. Maybe it's something grounding like soup or energizing like citrus. That awareness turns meals into medicine, not punishment. Even hydration plays a role. Clara started keeping a beautiful glass bottle on her desk and infusing it with herbs or fruit. It made her water feel like a gift, not a chore. And suddenly she was drinking more, thinking clearer, feeling lighter. I stopped thinking of water as boring, she said. It became ceremony. Oh, that's the magic of purpose. Even the simple things start to shine. So here's what I invite you to try. Take one meal today and give it your full attention. No screens, no rush, just sit, breathe, chew slowly. Let it be an anchor, a moment of returns. Not a task, but a homecoming. Because this balance between work and wellness, it's not built in the big dramatic choices. It's built in the ordinary ones, the plate you choose, the break you take, the intention you bring. You are not just a worker. You are a whole being. Feed yourself like you believe it. Joy doesn't always show up loudly. Sometimes it's quiet, like a favorite song on repeat. Sometimes it's messy, like dancing badly on purpose. Sometimes it's tender, like crying with someone who understands. But it always carries medicine. And the body knows, your breath deepens, your shoulders relax, your heart gets brave again. And connection works the same way. We're wired for it, literally. Eye contact boosts oxytocin. Laughter eases cortisol. Hugs regulate the nervous system. And yet we isolate, thinking we have to handle it all before we deserve rest or love or softness. But what if connection wasn't the reward for surviving work? What if it was the fuel that helps us do it well? There's a kind of resilience that only joy and connection can build. It's what holds you during the hard weeks. It's what makes you laugh after a mistake. It's what reminds you that your work is important, yes, but you are sacred. And sacred things deserve tenderness. And if your schedule feels too packed, start with 5 minutes. That's all it takes to draw a doodle, share a laugh, sip tea in silence, step outside and witness a sunset. Don't wait for a vacation. Create micro-oases throughout your week. Your spirit doesn't need extravagance, it needs presence. Because that's what this balance is about. Not flawless routines, not rigid self-care, but remembering what makes life feel alive. Work is part of it, but so is wonder, so is laughter. So is art and hugs and poetry and playing fetch with your dog. So here's your gentle invitation. Find your joy thread this week. Text someone you miss, make a playlist that lifts you up. Sketch something messy, cook with extra herbs, laugh at something silly. Say no to something draining so you can say yes to something warm. You are allowed to say, this moment matters, even if it doesn't earn revenue. I thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and do all those lovely things you wonderful people do. I'll see you next time.